What's up guys, Nightingale here, welcome back to another video. Today I want to talk to you about your summons. Yes, we're once again talking about this because this is one of the most important things, and also this came based off of, really, I thought about this because of a comment I responded to today on my YouTube channel. And it really brought some light to this, and I want to share this to you in a different sense because this really needs to be driven home and looked at under a closer light, because there is this group of player base who really believes you should only pull for collabs, limiteds, and pilgrims. That player base really exists in this game, but what you need to realize is there is a much bigger unit pool that is better than those 12 units in the game. Let's see here, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, yes, or well, counting just the collabs, yes, it's 4, 8, yes, it's 12 for just collabs and limited units. So you're looking at a very small pool for such a very large population of the game. What we're going to do today is I'm going to show you two different sources, PrideWinGG and Nikke.gg's websites, and I'm going to show you the community's tier list, not mine. I hate tier lists with a passion. I've done some in the past. I've realized how much work and energy goes into this stuff to really get a fair and balanced system, but I hate tier lists. Form your own opinions, get down in there and do this. But what I want to show you is sometimes they can be generally correct depending on where you're at. And why I want to do this is I want you to see a much bigger spectrum of the game. And we want to talk about some of these collab and limited units that you've really actually got to be careful, because most of them aren't that great. I hate saying that because it sounds like I'm dissing the game. It's not. It's if you're going to go into some massive investment and you're only saving to blow your load once every, like, maybe 3 times a year, you're gonna make no progress in the game because you're not pulling on anything. You need to learn and adapt to what is good. Also, pay attention, stay informed. You'll know when people start going, hey, this is really good. But here's something new players you need to realize. Is it really good if you use this? Or is it only good because they're level 350 plus with full, perfectly overloaded gear with maximum or high-end dupes? Is their skills super invested into? There's a lot of things that go into that unit being good. Because to be fair, while you can't really do it here, you can't take a unit out sterile in just a one environment, because the unit does require other units to work. You have to have a burst 1 in order to make a burst 2 go off. You have to have a burst 2 in order to make a burst 3 go off. So you can't have a completely sterile situation like you can with some games. There's ways you can do that in some games and go, in a sterile, is this unit really bringing all this power, or is it only here because it's working? So I want this to be informative for you all to understand why you need to pull on standard banner, when you need to pull on standard banner, and why you should be on the lookout for these units. So let's go in and let's first talk about this in the general sense. First off, this year we were given 4 summer units: Summer Anise, Summer Helm, Summer Mary, and Summer Neon. So we got two 3-week variation side stories throughout the summer that gave us 4 summer limited units. I can tell you that realistically, only one you needed to pull for, and that was Summer Anise. I mean, to be fair, I could think of a lot of other reasons to pull some of these others, but we're not pulling just for the plot, guys. We're pulling because what we're talking about here right now is the actual importance of the unit, not because she's waifu or whatever. Drop that mentality for a few minutes. We're talking about the real technicals here. Now let's go back to Christmas. That was the next limited event we had. Christmas Rupee and Christmas Anne. Rupee was crap. She's not great, and Christmas Anne is situationally really, really good. But look at where she's really good at. Then you go, okay, well, I didn't really need this unit for a lot of places, but it's cool to have. Cool. So right now we're batting out of the 6 units, theoretically, we're batting 2 for 6. But if we're summoning for limiteds only, we've just bought 4 units that really aren't game-breaking to our account. But we'll go into this and we'll talk about the units in a few minutes. Now let's turn over to collabs for just a second. We're just finishing up the Nier Automata collab on Nikke right now. This hands down raised the bar for the power of collabs. This is the first collab we had where both units were great in multiple respects. 2B, generally by the community, is received as the best unit out of the collab. A2 is situationally great, but the issue that we have currently in Nikke is A2's ability of, we don't have that much rocket launcher content, but where we do have rocket launcher content, she's disgusting. It's great. But if we look at them on scale to scale, 2B kind of is doing better for the average player. But that does not mean A2's worse, it just means we need more rocket launcher content. That's all this is saying. Now, let's go back several months. Chainsaw Man. Now, this one, these are situationally good, but they're nowhere near the level of the Nier collab. Absolutely, we cannot compare these in terms of value for the overall player. Because, let's be real, if your main sole objective really is PvP tank, and you can only do your party trick once in PvP, that's great. PvE, once your party trick's gone, it's over. And you'll burst more than once in PvE. It's very rare in PvP, you'll burst more than one time. Normally, it's race to who bursts first and hope you win. But in her case, Makima is a great tank for PvP, but is that going to help you progress your account? Absolutely not. Something that a lot of players need to understand is if you see guys up in the 300s on your server, don't even try. Do not try to compete. Not for a very long time. I know that sounds really bad, and it sounds like it's a hopeless case scenario, but just take this from somebody who has a 300 plus on their server. You can't touch them. I've been playing fairly consistently for a very long time. You can't touch them. Your hope someday is that when you finally surpass them, you can finally take their spot once they've quit. If they haven't done some things that are against terms of service and put them on sites and done certain things, then you can figure out why you took them over. Now, we had 2 Pilgrims released this year so far. We're not going to count anniversary, but we know it's coming for anniversary on it'd be the 2nd of November for us. First off, let's go back to last December, and that was Modernia. Hands down, has been one of the best units in the game, one of the second most power corrupt units. It's literally been her and Scarlet have been the queens of the burst 3s. Some of the best burst 3s you can get in the game are those 2. And one was on banner for 2 weeks. Then came the Overzone event. Absolutely pristine, amazing, glorious side story. Please go play it. It's in-game right now. I'm not sponsored to say this, but I'm telling you as somebody who absolutely adores the story, and there is so much lore you need to read in this thing or listen to. Because I'm putting some serious chips down saying our anniversary unit was foreshadowed in this. And I'll even say it here again, and if I'm wrong, I'm wrong, but look, I'm willing to take the risk. It's Red Hood. Red Hood is going to be our Pilgrim unit wherever she shows up. The next Pilgrim we're getting, if it's not anniversary, whenever we get her, she is the next Pilgrim. So we have Dorothy is a great burst 1. She's kind of that burst 1 who forgets she's a support unit and really knows how to damage. And I honestly think she may actually ramp up very, very soon because of 2 standard units that are about to get released into the game. That's going to allow you to burst 1, which is going to make Dorothy's burst 1 a lot more effective coming up soon. So that, as far as what we got this year, those are all the units we got that were limited and collabs. Now, I can see where you're saying, well, that's a lot of units you have to pull for. Not necessarily. The only ones that were mandatory out of all of this were Anise is a fantastic burst 3 shotgun, a lot of advantage for arc-based teams, the last shot teams. There's a lot of stuff going on with her kit that makes her a very, very valuable unit. Then we go to, we'll say honorable mention to Christmas Ann, because I don't see her as big of a value, but I do see why she's brought into this. 2B, hands down, was a mandatory summon, I think, because it gives you a Scarlet alternative DPS unit with better single target damage than Scarlet. So that's saying something. That's a great thing. And the good news is she's HP based, which is a new function, which is going to say something coming into the game later, that they're going to start working on HP based units. They may even start working on defense based units later on down the road, which is huge for us. That's another form of damage. So it means where Scarlet may get one shot or blown up because she has very little HP pool, 2B might be able to 2B's team might be able to live through that, and she might do better. So 2B became a arguable must pull. The other must pull of the entire year was Modernia. Modernia, hands down, was the other biggest must pull out of all of those. So out of the 14 units that were limited, collab, or pilgrim, 3 were mandatory. So sure, we could save up and do all that, but now how far did we put your account behind by waiting? So let's go over now to the we're going to start with Pride Win GG real quick, and I'm going to bring this up. I think this is what this one is. I do not remember whichever one this is. Okay, so never mind. We're going to do Nikke.gg first. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to tell this to look at SSRs only. That's the only thing I'm going to do because we don't want to get filled up with SRs and Rs and stuff like that. That's useless information to us. We just want to see the SRs. So let's first just kind of point this out. In the SS tier, according to this community's based tier list, not a single one of those is a limited unit in here. Noir and Blanc had a banner this year. Alice even had a banner, yet she's been in the general pool. Litter is in the general pool. Scarlet is a general pool. Modernia had a banner. So right now, according to this website, all of these units are SS tier, their top end, and not a single one's collab, limited, but 2 of them are pilgrims. 1 was in the game from day 1. Now let's go down to the S plus tier. Anise, there's a limited. Maxwell, Pravity, Dorothy, pilgrim with had a banner. Snow White, Rapunzel, both day 1 pilgrims. 2B, there you go, and A2. So there's your collab units are S+. As I honestly agree with all these units. If you have them, they are great. I see their value, and I think I know why they're here. Then we move down to S tier. Not a single limited, collab, or pilgrim. I had to double check because their faces kind of blurred together for a second. So those are normal units, and several of these you're going to want on your account. Now we go into the A tier, and we're going to speed through this. Volume, Dollar, Rupee, Viper, Laplace, Haran, day 1 pilgrim. They've got a helm, Aquamarine helm, which is the summer helm, so is in here. Polly Biscuit Power, there's a collab unit. Guilty, Anne Fairy Miracle, there's your Christmas Anne. Guillotine Novel, Noah, there's another day 1 pilgrim. They have Mary, Bay Goddess, which is another summer unit, and Mast. So now moving even further down, we have Miranda, Makima, so there's another collab unit. Soda, Diesel, Admin, Nihilister, which is a free in-game, very bad. Honestly, I think the only reason she's here is because she's a Burst 2 pilgrim. I swear that's it. D, Celine, Quincy, Milk, and Yulha. So out of all these, the only one here that is a collab, I'm not even going to count Nihilister as a pilgrim because you get her for free. Everybody can get her, you just got to get there. Makima is here. Now we move even further down into C. Vesti, Jackal, Sakura, Epinel, Folkwang, Uni, Coca, Brid, Nero, Ocean, Neon, Blue Ocean. So there is Summer Neon. Isabel is a day 1 pilgrim. Sin, Maiden, Ludmilla, Arya, Exia, Julia, and Unwa. Unwa, I believe is how you say her name. So, the only limited here was Summer Neon. Okay, now going even further down. Emma, Firma, Rupee, Winter Shopper. So there's Christmas Rupee. Mary, Rosanna, Signal, Ray, and Jan. So we have Christmas Rupee here. And Crow as the very bottom of the tier, according to this. Now, see, I find this really weird is because Emma does make a really good healer and a really good tank in the beginning for PvP. So I find this a little weird, but I see her value is cranked in at PvP, so they do give her a rating there. But because of everything else is a little sus, I see why they're lowering her down. So now quickly, we want to show you this for them, and then we're going to switch over to Pride Win. So Rupee, story 3, PvP 4, boss 4, skill 2, everything's rated really low. Burst 3 is probably her best thing because she's a reburst unit. Allows you to burst 1, burst 1. So that was the cool part of her, but outside of that, she wasn't really good. All right, moving on up, Neon. I do need to make sure y'all can see this. Weird, Neon's is broken. So I'm going to pop into here real quick. So Neon, they rated her at 4.53 and 7 for bosses. I can see that because honestly, at some point, we're going to have water-based bosses and it will help. But when you look at the overall value, she's not really applying much to you. So moving on out of these was Makima. So PvP unit and for bosses. Again, if you're doing one-off bursts, I can see where her value is. But they rate her value mostly in PvP. And they rate her skills, seems fairly low. All right, moving on up, we have Goddess Bay Mary. So story PvP bosses, again, they're rating her pretty good. Her skills are, again, a little bit on the lower. It's mainly there for her skill 1 of her heal. But overall, you don't really need this unit. She's like, okay. Moving on up to Christmas Ann, it's because of her PvP and her, I believe it's a revive is what's on her kit, is why her burst 3. I'm going to see if it brings it up here real quick. Burst 3 is, yeah, affects one fallen ally, resurrects with 99% HP once per battle. So yeah, it's because she's one of the few resurrection units. All right, so PvP, that's great. Story, that can be very helpful for bosses. It can be helpful, but it also slows your DPS down because you shouldn't be dying in bosses anyway. I get it. Other than that, her kit's absolutely useless minus the revive. Helm, she's a great boss killer. According to what they're rating her here. For her skill 2, which I literally have forgotten, is Aegis Cannon Suppression. Okay, that makes sense. I can see that. So, for Electric Code allies, this is definitely a great boss killer second DPS, but it comes down to what are you using in the team comp, and will you be able to fit Helm into this rotation, because there are better units there. So, moving on up, we have, next is A2, which they're saying great for story. Story, I can see that for wave clear. Her skills are 777, PvP, she's okay, and bosses, she's 9. But as the whales are telling us, and I tend to want to listen to them because they spend more than us, we're just lacking rocket launcher content, and as soon as we get that, this is probably pre-weighted for us having more rocket launcher content. And when that happens, and especially more parts, she's great. I'm not going to doubt this. I'm not going to knock this. I will agree with this. And then they're saying 2B is basically story, PvP, and bosses. Yes, she's a boss killer. Everything's great with her, and that's what we're really wanting. Dorothy, because we need to talk about the Pilgrim as well that was released. Her skill 1's great. Her boss damage for PvP, she's not that great. For story, she's okay. She's really good. So they are rating her overall really, really good. We go over to Summer Anise, and you can see that she's highly rated for story, PvP, and bosses. Because again, they're basing this off of the fact they're probably wanting you to do the missile trick, which is instant reload, which means you'll probably need Pravity and a few other units in there to do the last shots, where you can literally get her down to shooting shoot, reload, shoot, reload, shoot, reload, shoot, reload, shoot, reload. It's disgusting when you do this. I've seen this, and she can do some crazy damage. So out of all the limited units we had, she's been the best limited unit, because I'm going to call them in 3 categories: limited, collab, and pilgrims. So as far as limiteds, hands down, she takes the cake. She was the best limited unit we got in Nikke right now. Now moving on up is Modernia was the other one. Story 10, PvP. I can see why, because you're not really. It's a great alternate DPS. Bosses, her. Even in off burst, she's one of the absolute most disgusting off damage things possible. Her burst isn't that great. She's literally there because she has a laser machine gun. Machine gun goes burr, and there you go. So, according to this community, they're saying that this is really, really good. Now, just to drive the point home, we're gonna go over to Pridewin, which is another set of people, and we're gonna show you SSR only. And let's take a look again. Litter, Blanc, Senti, Alice, Modernia, Noir, Scarlet. Wow, does that not look oddly familiar? But here they're at least telling you that it is a whale unit, meaning you're gonna have to giga whale into this thing for it to really make and break it. Typically what this means is a high cost unit. When I say whaling, I don't mean like spending money, I mean you gotta go full into this thing as if you're playing like a whale. High skill investment, high gear investment, and then potentially, depending on where you're at, some units are high limit break dependent. So, but in this case, I know it's mostly the skill and the gear is what really needs to go into her, and then she's phenomenal. But notice, not a single limited unit. And theoretically, not a single collab unit in the top of the tier list, according to them. Now we move on, and they've got Dorothy. Okay, so, well, hold on. We need to be fair. Here is their version of Modernia. Triple S across the board except for PvP. I'm not going to argue with this. I like the number system better, but sure, we'll go through the alphabet. I'm fine with that. It works for me. I understand what they're saying. All right, Dorothy. She's not really as great in story and late game story, but in bosses and boss ads, she's disgusting, and I completely agree. PvP, she's great. So let's move over. We have A2. See, you can see in story late game, because there is a lot of stuff there that starts getting a lot crazier. I agree with her being better. Bosses solo, bosses ads, I can completely get behind this, especially watching her in the last solo raid. She was doing stuff. She put down the damage, and mine wasn't invested in. I had mine at 444, 3 out of 4 abnormal gear. Now I had the attack pieces, but they weren't leveled up, and they weren't overloaded. And she was still out DPSing my Scarlet. So, rocket launcher for the win, and it was also parts. She was doing her job, she stayed full burst, and it was great. Now, here's Summer Anise. Story, late game, she stays the same, pretty consistent unit. Solo bosses, for what they mean by this is I think solo raid, phenomenal unit. Bosses for like the ads where there's a lot of stuff, she's a little bit worse. PvP, she's top tiered. She will shred through you. I've seen it. We move on down. We have Summer Helm. Story early. She falls off a little bit late game. For solo, she's a little bit better. Ads. And then you get down to PvP and she's pretty much garbage. I can kind of see why. There's a little bit to it. Again, they're talking an expensive unit to level up because you will need to 10-10-10 this unit. She will need her overload gear. You will need to work on hit rate on her. So she is a high investment cost unit for you to get into. But once you're there, machine gun goes burr and she will absolutely blast through you. But overall, she's a Scarlet alternative, and I can see why they're rating her a little bit lower, but do keep this in mind. Single target, she out DPSs those top triple S DPS. It just depends on the scenario she's being used in. In a general case, I completely get this. In specific cases, she can outshine those others. So do keep that in mind. Now we go down to power. In this case, they're saying she's basically a PvP unit. I've heard people talk about using her in certain union raids and seeing things like that, but overall, if we're gonna really compare collab to collab, Nier took the cake, hands down. They were the much better units. Still good to have, but do you need power on your count? Absolutely not. You can completely make up with that with everything else that is above us on the tier list. Now we move down, Summer Marys for boss solo and boss ads. Yeah, I get it. I understand why she's here, but she's a burst 1. Depends on your comp, depends on what you're trying to do, but I can get behind that. You know, I can see that, you know, overall, but she's not really that great. You're going to have better burst 1s 90% of the time you're going to want to use. So let's keep on going. Nothing there, nothing in there, nothing in there. All right, next. Okay, Christmas. Rupee, they've got her rated at B. They got her rated a little bit higher than the other. But story B, I mean, basically she's there for her reburst and that's it. She's not that great of a defender, an odd unit to take in. There's going to be better and she's going to get replaced instantly. All right, Christmas Ann. Notice, she's garbage everywhere else except for PvP because of the revive, is what they're rating her there for. So just because she has the revive, it's a great burst too. Rocket launcher, things are going to go kaboom. Let's keep that in mind. Then moving on, we have... I'm looking for them because they're a little hard to see. All right, Summer Neon. Not very good overall. They're rating her pretty bad across everything. But again, I think really what's going to come down to here is the content, type advantage, and all sorts of things will eventually play into these units' value coming up and down. But generally speaking, they didn't rate her very high for reasons. And that should take care of them all. So these are two different sources rating them slightly a little bit better. But what do you notice here when you look at both of these sites is, like I say, I don't like tier lists. I hate them. I feel like they can be skewed a little bit in certain abilities because some of these units will excel better than others in certain situations on certain stages. So does it really mean their overall value? But if you're looking at something to pick up and have and make sure that they are somewhat invested in, yeah, they can be pretty general idea, especially community-based ones. But when you go to one person's opinion over the other, you do have to take it with a grain of salt, and I do understand that, which is also why I don't make tier lists. I did one. I tried to make it as fair and balanced as I could. It worked for 7 Deadly Sins, but I will not do it again. It takes so much effort to make one really mathematically work out that is zero bias behind it. Because the second somebody says, I feel this is better, I think this is better, there is no factual belief behind it. And I can't tell you how many times I would catch streamers making their tier list and go, I feel this is better than this unit. Or, I think this is better. No, you should say, I know this is better. And here's why. Here's XYZ of why this is better. Not, I feel. I feel what? I've got a feeling, but who cares? It's not factual. But a lot of these units here are not those high-end, must-pull collab and limited banners. Now, yes, I will sit here and I will tell you, you don't know when they're coming. You don't understand when the next limited could be. But we can kind of look at this last year and go, I have a clue. Christmas. Limited, all right, we can kind of go behind that. Anniversary will probably be a Pilgrim. I can get behind that. We'll probably have a collab early in the year before anniversary. Makes sense. We'll have a Pilgrim at anniversary, the half-year anniversary. Makes sense. Summer, bikinis. I mean, hello, it's boobs and butts. Let's go, guys. Come on. It's not that hard to sell some limited units. So it'll happen. So summer is free real estate, for absolute free real estate for limited units. So expect more then. Collabs, we had one here in September. So before anniversary again, there was one more collab. So maybe we get another. Maybe we get these rerun in between. I wouldn't bother me. I don't need to pull 2B anymore. I don't need to pull any more A2s. I got my one copy. I've got my max limit break 2B. I'm never touching them again. I have no reason to. We have 2 new Pilgrims potentially next year. Let's go. I'm all for it. But also make sure you do not neglect your in-game. Make sure you do not neglect your in-game standard banner. So I have it up right here. It should be loading in. And the thing is, I just want to talk to you guys again one more time about this, is because this is important for you. You can't use that mentality here of limited only, collab only, that's what I play for. You can't do that here. There's not enough of it. You can't use abnormals in company towers. You just can't. You can use it in the normal one, but you can't go use it anywhere else. You're gonna need these units. You will eventually have to pull units specifically to push tower. You will need to pull units specifically to build new teams. You will need to make sure you are trying to get your max cores, because you will need to focus in on those big units later on. I cannot stress this enough. You will have to go and spend your gems in this banner at some point. But you, the player, must know and take a risk at sometimes to invest into these wisely. A week before collab, a week before anniversary, a week before a Pilgrim banner? Come on now. You shouldn't be doing that. We all can understand the logic behind that. But in a dead spree where it's going to be several weeks or a few months before the next big thing, it's not going to kill you to chunk 3-4 multis into this, because you do need to work on coring up your units, because you do need 5 SSRs 3-starred in order to get level 200. This is one of the best places to do it. If you're not pulling for new units, like we're going to use Tia and Naga as an example. They are literally Missilis's version of Noir and Blanc in a slightly worse, unique set. They're not as good as these two. This is still Litter Noir Blanc plus 2 burst 3s is going to absolutely carry your game, but the next unit set will probably be Tia Naga, another burst 1 and 2 burst 3s will probably become the next meta thing you'll see for a secondary team, and then chances are you're going to see a 2B team. Those will probably be the 3 big teams of Nikke for the next year, and everything's going to be revolving around building those other 2 up. and hopefully maybe working on replacing one that changes out the DPSs in the Litter Bunny Twins comp. Maybe it isn't always Scarlet and Modernia. Maybe it is something else that gets released along this year. Maybe it's those 2 new Pilgrims. Maybe it's the new Pilgrim that's coming this anniversary. We don't know, but you're also gonna have to work on investing on this. So as you level up, as you get this currency, as you get these tickets, think smart. Well, we know Tia and Naga are coming. So right now, if you're a brand new player, you should be worrying about unlocking this first, if you really want to get there. Or you wait till Tia and Naga have come into this, which will probably be around anniversary. Then you start pulling, then you activate your wish list, then you set up, and make sure you save your wish list. Take it from me, you want to learn a mistake? I did 3 summons on this, and I hadn't saved a single unit when I first did this. I thought I hit save, I did not. And I think I summoned, I think it was Tetra was the one that didn't have any units in it. Now, did I get a Tetra unit? Yes, I did. I got really lucky, but as soon as I went in, I turned white in the face, completely lost all color, sick to my stomach, going, I really messed up in those pulls, but I got really, really lucky, and the game acknowledged my luck and said, hey, check your luck. Don't try me again. And I'm like, thank you, game. I appreciate it. So make sure you take a mistake from me and learn. Double check, make sure they are populated. When you close this out and you open this back up and you hit revise your wish list, all 15 slots are filled. Also, while we're here, again, just to rub this in, make sure all 5 slots are filled. If you go and you leave with a slot empty, it does not boost your rate for the rest of that tower. It is still equally divided. You're just losing out on a unit. So make sure they are completely filled out so that you get the maximum chance. There is 100 different ways to fill this list out. It comes down to you and your account. I will tell you my personal 3 favorites for each of these depending on where you are. Right now for Elysian, you probably are gonna want, for me, I really like Helm. I think if you have 2B, Mast is a mandatory Elysian unit. And as far as I'm concerned, I really like Emma. I like her more than what some of these people have rated her, because I feel like her heals for me when I've used her and seen things, and the comps that I've built with her, I have tested them out to see that they are better than what she's being rated at. But I get that there are much better teams to use, but when I need a strong heal and just a massive chunky unit, Emma does the job for where I currently am. But I like Emma also for other reasons. 2 very big reasons is why Emma's also there. Okay? There is also that. But I also can say, I know, I've tested, I've seen, I like this, I will use this. But if I was to say out of all of them, you're probably gonna want Helm and Mast. Everything else, build up, work around. All right? So next, Missilus. Right now, as of today, I think your number 1 mandatory must-have unit in here is Litter. As soon as we get the Tia and Naga options, there's your full 3. Till then, I would say literally Team Mighty Tools is literally what you're after, plus 3. Once we get Tia and Naga, it is going to be Tia and Naga is going to take this place, and then it's just fill in the blanks for what you need along the way. Tetra has 2 hard residents until they are max cored out, and that is Noir and Blanc. You're never going to get around this. Now, if you're a 2B user, there is your 3rd, probably mandatory unit that will sit in there for quite a while until they make a better burst 1 for 2B. Everything else will come along the way. I personally believe, I know some of you are probably going to go for the Alice stuff. I mean, if you're ready to rapid fire away and do the Alice trick to get some serious DPS, I'm not going to hold you back on it. That may even take up another slot, which really means you're kind of down to only 1 spot left to try to collect them all. Because there's a lot of great units in Tetra. Tetra is highly contested, so good luck with Tetra. But Noir and Blanc are permanent residents until something power creeps them, which is gonna take a while. Because honestly, I feel like this is the next step. Look at this. Tetra's got the Bunny Twins, a duo that this one mandatory says they have to be together. This isn't because they slightly work better together. No, it literally says in their kit, the other person from the squad has to be in the team to do this. That's why they have to be together. But for Missilis's case, it looks just like they are literally making Naga and Tia to have to be together because of the barriers and all, and the regenerating cover and all this stuff. Really looks like they're wanting to force these two units together. I'd be willing to bet by the end of 2024, Elysian gains a pair just like them. I have a feeling that's where they're going. It really looks suspicious like that because of Tia and Naga. So let's see how 2024 plays out. Hopefully we're still here. The world's getting crazy, guys. Everywhere we turn, something's getting a little crazier. But yeah, take a look at that. That's something I wanted to talk about. Always remember, when you're pulling here too, it is your rated up units. Your rated up units. And just the Pilgrims. That's massive. That means every time that thing sparks, it's a unit you wanted. Now, obviously, Isabel's gonna trap us in and she's not gonna let us order pizza. But besides Isabel, everything else is pretty much a win. You're not complaining. You shouldn't really complain really at all. Isabel can work. It takes a specific unit. It takes Dala to really make her shine, but if you're getting any one of these Pilgrims and it says Pilgrim, congratulations. That's great. That's a great feeling the day you see the Pilgrim show up, and it potentially can be one of the other units you need on your account. This isn't, oh, I hope it's not this, because if we're going over to, if you want to talk about bad feelings, do you know how bad it feels that when you're pulling on 2B and you walk away pulling some astronomical random bullcrap of pulling 3 biscuits? 3 biscuits? Do you know the RNG to do that? I'm not saying this happened to me, but it might have happened to me on somebody else's banner over 2 banners. The RNG to pull biscuit, and out of all the Nikkes in the game, I smashed a +1 biscuit within 1 month of me playing. In 1 month of playtime, I got a +1 biscuit. It feels bad when you get this on these banners, but you know what? I don't care, because that's now, if biscuit somehow becomes meta for something, I'm all for it. Not gonna complain. Gonna complain a little bit, but you know what? I'm sitting there looking at that. That was a 2% chance I dodged every time. I lost the 50-50 every time on that for biscuit. At least when you lose the chance and it's not the Pilgrim, I don't care, because every unit on there, I said go be there. So it's your fault if you pull a unit you didn't want there. Remember that. That's why this is so cool of a banner. And at some point you will go deep on it, because you will be trying to catch up, going for your level 200. It takes time, guys. It is not something that's gonna instantly happen. I know this is something that freaks out a lot of people, but I promise you, it will happen. There's a lot of mechanics working in your favor now to help get you to level 200. And then once you're there, you're gonna go, crap, this sucks. Yeah, 10,000 core dust to level up is gonna go fast. But you saved up. You listened to me. You listened to those beginner guides when you got there. You heard me say, save your core dust, save your core dust, save your core dust, save your core dust. So when you finally break it, those levels start going up fast, but it's not gonna be a lot of combat power. I'm just warning you now. It's like around 500, 600 combat power. It sucks. But you're leveling up your units, which is all that's important. Getting that unit level up higher and higher and higher. If you guys have any questions about this, I'm not trying to start World War III with this. I know there are some people who will hard say, I'm pulling for my waifus regardless. Okay, cool, great, fine. Don't complain when you get a unit that just doesn't do you anything. All right, I'm cool with that. You want to pull the only collabs and only limiteds. Okay, don't complain when you complain about the progress and not being able to progress very far, because you're not pulling where you need to be pulling. You pull on Pilgrims. Okay, great. So far, we're batting 100. Or actually, the correct term would be batting 1,000, because it's 1,000 batting average. So you're batting 1,000. All right, congratulations. We've got 2 very good Pilgrims. Let's see how they do on the 3rd one. At some point, one of these is going to be a released dud. I hope it's not Red Hood, especially if it is her, because she's been hyped up way too much in this game for her to be a dud. I'm expecting Modernia level busted. Okay? Now, what she is, I have no idea. Burst 1, Burst 2, Burst 3. HP, defense, attack-based unit, have no idea. I have no idea what her skills are. Based off of what her art looks like, she's a rocket launcher or a sniper rifle. But then again, Nihilister looked like a dragon, so, and they gave her a sniper rifle. Why not machine gun or rocket launcher? Beats the crap out of me, but you never know. We'll find out. So, if you guys have any questions, hit me up in the comments below. Be happy to help out where I can. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.